This week began with the president coming here to El Paso to whip up support for his border wall, but he was met by a counter rally led by former Congressman, rising Democratic star, and possible 2020 candidate Beto O'Rourke. El Paso is O'Rourke's hometown, and I talked to him about an hour ago, right after we learned the president was declaring a national emergency. So obviously the big news today is the president is going to sign the border appropriation or the DHS appropriation and also declare some unspecified national emergency. What do you think of that?
It's hard to make a rational case for an emergency declaration or troops on the border or any amount of additional border walls or border fencing or steel slats, even if it's not $5.5 billion, even if it's only $1.25 billion. The border has never been as safe and secure as it is now. And as many people now know, El Paso has been a safe city, one of the safest in the U.S. for the last 20 years. Prior to having a wall, post having a wall. In fact, a little less safe after we had a wall. And we're not an outlier. McAllen is safe. San Diego is safe. The border cities are safer than the average city in the interior. There's no rational reason to do this.
You know, it's funny because I've been interviewing you for years about precisely this. And you would always come on and say, El Paso is one of the safest cities in America. We're right on the border. And it was interesting to watch the president basically take that and turn that against El Paso.
Right.
Right. So for a while it was the border's really scary. And then it was, no, it is really safe, and it's because of the wall, which there's part of back there.
Right.
And you think that's not true?
No, I know it's not true. So you look at FBI crime data, and you see 20 years going, El Paso's the safest or the second or the third safest in the United States, bar none. We built a wall in 2008 after the 2006 Secure Fence Act, voted for by Republicans and Democrats alike, and El Paso's safety actually drops. The crime rate actually increases after that. I don't know if it's correlated, but what I can tell you is the wall did not make us any safer.
So before the wall, I mean, this is the thing I think it's hard for people to get their heads around. Before the wall, there was no wall. Like, you could just, if someone wanted to, like this stretch right here, they could come across. But it was not like the city of El Paso was under some perpetual invasion.
It was not. And I think a really important thing to remember is that we've always had some level of migration from Mexico and to an extent Central America. Most of it from people wanting to work jobs here in this country that no one else would do legally under the Bracero program. Our immigration laws are amended in 1965 to end that program. And essentially the same number of people still keep coming to work, only now they're undocumented. Today, the lowest levels of northbound apprehension in my lifetime. I'm 46 years old. And those who are coming are turning themselves in. They're not coming for work. They're coming to flee the most violent countries on the planet today, very often with their little kids or little kids without their parents. No wall's going to keep that out, nor should it. We have asylum laws that we must follow, international obligations to which we must adhere, and, you know, a sense of moral purpose that I think we should be able to live up to. The wall's not going to solve any of that.
You had a rally on Monday night. You were at a rally on Monday night organized by the community here when the president came to town. What was what's the message there? For people that are looking at this in Kenosha or Detroit or New Jersey or Oregon, what is the message?
It was so powerful, so profoundly positive. There was no anger. There was no resentment. There was nothing negative about it. It was a celebration of what makes El Paso so special. The fact that we're one of the safest cities in America, not in spite of, but because we are a city of immigrants. A quarter of those who live here were born in another country. Their very presence makes us safer, more successful, stronger, more secure. You make communities, you make the state of Texas, you make by extension the country a safer place by treating people with dignity and respect, not militarizing communities, not adding even more to the $20 billion a year that we're spending on border security. You make sure that our laws match our values, our interests, our experience here. So I think El Paso helped to set the example for the country on Monday night.
I want to pass along from a question from a congressman who does not represent the border, but he is in Texas, Dan Crenshaw, who's a new member of Congress. He's been very outspoken in favor of the president's agenda on the border, particularly.
Right.
And he wanted to ask you, he tweeted this, and I'm just passing it along. It's not something he didn't text me. You know, would you take the wall down now, here?
Yes.
Like you have a wall.
Absolutely.
Knock it down.
I'd take the wall down.
And do you think if there's a referendum here in this city, that would pass?
I do. Here's what we know. After the Secure Fence Act, we have built 600 miles of wall and fencing on a 2,000-mile border. What that has done is not in any demonstrable way made us safer. It's cost us tens of billions of dollars to build and to maintain, and it has pushed migrants and asylum seekers and refugees to the most inhospitable, the most hostile stretches of the U.S.-Mexico border, ensuring their suffering and death. More than 4,000 human beings, little kids, women, and children, have died. They're not in cages, they're not locked up, they're not separated, they're dead over the last 10 years as we have walled off their opportunity to legally petition for asylum, to cross in urban centers like El Paso, to be with family, to work jobs, to do what any human being should have a right to be able to do, what we would do if faced with the same circumstances they were.
What I'm hearing from you is something bolder or in some ways more ambitious than just we shouldn't build a wall. I mean, it sounds like you're saying the kinds of ways we treat the border, starting basically post 9/11, 2006, CBP workforce has gone up, spending has gone up, miles of fencing has gone up. You're saying you don't think any of that has been good for the country?
It's perverse, the response that we have to legitimate concerns and problems. International terrorism, which was orchestrated in Afghanistan by Al-Qaeda, carried out by people from Saudi Arabia. We punish people from Mexico at the U.S.-Mexico border, deport in 1 year alone 400,000 Mexican nationals from this country from our response to 9/11. We wall off 600 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border. Precisely zero terrorists or terrorist organizations have ever used the border to attack a single American. So we do this whether it is the war on terror, the war on drugs.
Right.
We project our fears and anxieties to places like El Paso, to the U.S.-Mexico border, and punish the people who live here. There's no reason to do that, but it is the fear and the anxiety that is stoked by people who should and frankly do know better that results in these policies.
Beto O'Rourke, who is now a private citizen,
Yes.
father of three.
That's right.
I hope you have some Valentine's Day plans.
Thank you. We do. We need to see Willie Nelson.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.